Every day, around 2.4 billion cups of coffee are consumed around the world. To meet this huge demand, millions of people harvest tons of coffee beans. But how are 175,000 jars of coffee produced every day? We visit the Nescafé factory to find out how one of the world's most popular drinks is made. Coffee is the second most consumed beverage in the world after water. It is believed to have been discovered by a shepherd who noticed that his goats became more active after eating certain beans. Coffee has been cultivated for over 1,000 years and is now produced in over 60 countries around the world. The history of Nescafé dates back to the early 20th century when Swiss chemist Max Morgan began working on a way to produce instant coffee. In 1930, Nestlé acquired the rights to Morgan's patent and began producing and marketing instant coffee under the Nescafé brand. The company invested heavily in advertising and promotion, and soon Nescafé became a leading brand in the coffee market. During World War II, Nescafé became a staple food for American troops and Allied forces, as it was easy to transport and prepare on the battlefield. After the war, Nescafé became a popular product all over the world. It continued to innovate in the production and packaging of instant coffee. The flavor of coffee depends on the region in which it is grown and the system that producers use to roast and blend the beans. Brazil is the country that produces the most coffee in the world. According to statistics, 35% of the coffee comes from here. It is born with the shape of these flowers. 9 months later, the buds are like berries the size of grapes. The coffee harvest from the coffee plantations occurs once it is ripe and can be identified because the fruit reaches a deep red color. From the flowering of the coffee until it can be harvested, it usually takes between 6 and 9 months. In 6 months, the buds grow and mature in the red fences that contain the coffee beans. The day laborers collect the red fences and leave the green ones so that when the coffee beans ripen, they will return to collect the berries. As they ripen, the laborers try to ensure that there are no more than 2 green berries for every 100 leaves they collect. They empty these into sacks and load these onto trucks. Each sack contains about 2 kilos of coffee beans, enough to make about 200 cups. Harvesting by hand is exhausting work, so some coffee plantations have resorted to one of these. This 5-meter-high harvester uses the work of 100 people as it moves along a row of trees. The machine vibrates rods inside that make the berries fall from the branches. The fresher the berries, the better their flavor. The berries picked in the morning are stored in a wet mill, ready for processing in the afternoon. In the wet mill, water channels wash the berries and let them fall into a screw. This loads them into a pulper to separate the outer skin and the fruit. A rotating drum presses the berries against the wall of the pulper and squeezes them. Once the beans have left the pulper, they travel through water to 2 enormous rotating cylinders. There, they are sifted to separate them from the green, hard berries that have passed through the exculpator. The beans are then bathed in more water, which extracts a thick, sugary substance. Next, the workers put them to dry in the traditional style on a cement patio for 4 days. They stir the beans with a rake so that they dry in the sun. Once dry, the beans are passed to a polisher. Inside, some enormous stones separate the husk from the bean. The dry beans no longer have any husks and are passed to an oscillating table that separates them by weight into 3 categories. The beans of each category are poured into sacks whose exact content must be 69 kilos before they are sent to the coffee processing plants. The sacks are sewn and stacked for shipment. But how do these coffee beans become a quality cup of coffee? Every year, 35 million tons of freshly picked fruits arrive at plants like this, one of the largest instant coffee plants in the world. This is the Nestlé factory. 890 people work here, making instant coffee every day. 175,000 jars of coffee are produced. It all starts with a delivery of coffee beans. 170 tons of beans arrive from South America to this instant coffee factory every day. Up to 560 tons are stored in this huge silo. Every day, 1,200 sacks of raw material enter this plant to begin. Sampling is done, which consists of piercing each bag and obtaining a sample of the coffee. In the Nescafe factory, two types of coffee are used, the Arabica and Robusta varieties. The Arabica species produces a fine and aromatic coffee, whereas the Robusta is characterized by a full body and a strong flavor. Once the batch is approved, it enters the production line. The coffee passes through this mesh that retains the largest residues that the bag could bring. Through a pipe system, the beans arrive at the cleaning sector, where they pass through a machine with different sieves that are responsible for eliminating impurities and making the final selection. Once it is clean, it is sent to a silo identified by its variety and by its type, already specifically intended for the process of making instant coffee. Then it moves on to the roasting phase. The beans are introduced into a roaster. The importance of roasting coffee is to develop the aroma, color, and flavor. Coffee beans are roasted at 210 degrees. By heating the beans to 210 degrees for 12 minutes, the starches they contain are converted into sugars, and the aromatic caffeine is released, which gives coffee its flavor. Roasting also begins to burn the caffeine. The longer the roasting time, the more caffeine is lost. They are constantly stirred so that they roast evenly without burning. The beans fall into an industrial mill where they are ground into a coarse powder. The roasted and ground coffee beans are transported to this sector of the plant. Inside these tanks, operating as if they were large coffee makers, the coffee is mixed with hot water, a process known as extraction. When it comes into contact with the hot water, the flavors, aromas, and properties of coffee are obtained. The coffee is heated until it condenses into an extract that is spread along a conveyor belt that will take it to the next station, the freezing room. Every hour, 30,000 litres of coffee travel through the heated pipes inside the tower, heated to 70 degrees C. The water evaporates and is extracted through the siphon. To remove the water, the freeze-drying method can be used. The coffee infusion freezes at approximately 50 degrees C, causing a thin surface to form that can then be broken into pieces and subjected to a vacuum. This is a process characterized by the fact that when applied, the flavor of the coffee is protected. Workers have to wear thermal clothing to protect themselves from the Arctic temperatures of 50 degrees. As the liquid coffee moves along the conveyor belt, it receives a blast of cold air and takes only 2 minutes to solidify, becoming a solid sheet of frozen coffee 8 millimeters thick. It then passes to a crusher that breaks it down into frozen granules between 2 and 3 millimeters in size. The granules come out from the freezer into shallow trays, each containing 15 kilos, enough for 75 jars. They head to an airlock and are introduced into a giant vacuum chamber, where all the air has been suctioned out. Then it reaches the drying chamber. The dryer heats up, which melts the ice in the granules, but in the vacuum, the ice immediately turns into gas without going through a liquid phase. This is a process called sublimation. Once the water is removed, the coffee powder reaches the filling machine. Hundreds of glass jars are fed onto a conveyor belt. The jars pass along a conveyor belt and are filled in less than a second. This machine fills 280 jars per minute. It will take over 11 hours to fill today's batch of 175,000 jars. The coffee is vacuum packed to keep the quality conditions intact for 24 months. Labels are placed on the jars and they are wrapped in groups of 6. From the factory, jars of Nescafe arrive on supermarket shelves. Give the video a like if you liked it and share it with another person who may be interested. Also, subscribe to this channel by activating notifications to continue learning. Greetings.